So first thing first, to let you guys know, I will record this session so that who are not available, who are not, particularly not specifically in this session throughout the day, then they may refer to the recorded version later. Will be shared to the UTeM also for the PSU for the purpose of the academic wise. Okay, so I think we are getting to know each other quite well after going this kind of session. Before Prof. Rizal start, I would like to convey my appreciation, highest gratitude to the PSU PAS for having us as a part of the program to make this thing successful running for the both of the benefit. So I think that is a very straightforward. But then, before I go further, I would like to call upon our Dean of Postgraduate Study, Universiti Teknikal Malaysia Melaka, Prof. Rizal, to deliver his welcoming remark or speech. It depends.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. Zah, our chairperson. All right, so Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and very good morning, especially to our partner from PSU, Prof. Nata, Prof. Kulapat, and then seen here Ms. Katia Pong, and then all students from both UTeM and also from PSU. So first and foremost, I would like to convey my gratitude to our partner from SONGKLA University, okay, for having our students for almost 1 week. Thank you so much for your hospitality. So definitely, I think this is a good opportunity for our students, which is, I think this is the first time we're having mobility programs, okay, which organized by the Center of Postgraduate Studies, UTeM. So I hope this is not the first one. Since, as you know, the collaboration between UTeM and SONGKLA University have started so many years, and I believe this is not the last one. So I hope, okay, for the sake of academic purposes, all right, for the publication, for the research collaborations. So we will go further by having, probably next year, we will have prof and also a student from PSU, okay, to come to Malaysia, okay, by having the same programs, okay, and also definitely through these programs, I believe that the relationships between our students and also students from PSU will be closer, and I really hope that in the future, okay, it's not only on the research but also we can collaborate together, especially in the publication. So I believe that all of our students and also your students they know to each other, and definitely in future, okay, so we can expand our collaboration through the other activities, okay. But so it seems that Prof. Shuko also joining. Thank you, Prof. All right. So I think that's all, Prof. Hafzah. So I just pass back to Prof. Hafzah, and I really hope that, as we targeted, all right, for this event, okay, there will be a journal to be published, okay, between PSU and also UTeM. I think that's all. Back to Prof. Hafzah. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Prof. Rizal, for the welcoming remarks. Of course, everybody will be happy by having this kind of session, of course. So before we go further, I think I would like to welcome any representative from the PSU. If you want to say something regarding this program before we start officially the program for the online session for the mobility program. Anyone? Maybe Prof. Pulapat or maybe Prof. Nataya?
Okay. Natha, we will
Prof. Nata,
say
yeah.
something.
Prof.
Prof.
Nata.
Yes. uh, yeah. First of all, we would like to thanks for setting this activity. We may call it Joy Journal Writing Workshop in this time, and next time we hope maybe Joy something and or we can writing a good journal together, and like we can participate in writing and also the research, and it's very good image if we can have both our name in the same paper in the future. Yeah. I hope this activity will motivate our students to talk English, to participate the academic activity like this. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank
That's
you,
all.
Prof. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Prof. Nata, for the welcoming remarks. I think before we officially start over the session, maybe we can try those students can try to open your video and then we try to take the picture all together. Well, I mean, since we have the professor over here, is a part of the representative, we also have the associate professor, the Dr. Shuko, as a part of the presenter later. So I think those who have the video, they can open your video so you can take the picture together.
You guys, please.
Congratulations to the Argentina supporter.
Can you
Okay.
on your video, guys, please?
Okay, okay.
Uh,
Oh, terus balik umrah, terus pergi umrah. Okay, JK makan ada. Okay. Alright. Okay, okay. Those
Afif
the others.
Ahmad Muhajir. Christina. Right,
Okay,
guys.
while waiting for the
Please, please.
others.
Mhm.
Faik boleh buka? Faik.
Tu baik ada.
Oh, Faik ada ni.
Baik Aman ada.
Oh, okay,
Baik
okay.
Aman tak ada kamera.
Faik. Okay, who those still driving, so take care.
Okay.
I think that's for now, I think. So Aswad, dia, Faik tak ada ni, tak ada kamera. Farah.
Farah.
Farahin?
Okay.
Okay, I think we count on three, yeah. So everybody smile. Okay, 1, 2. Okay, hold on. Again. 1, 2, 3. Okay, one more time. Okay. Okay, 1. Freestyle lah. Okay, freestyle. 1. Lama pula 1. 2.
Okay.
3. All right. Okay.
Okay, thank you so
very much.
much. Thank
Okay,
you.
next agenda, I will try to mention briefly what is the tentative for today and also until the last day, so that we can have the clearer overview what we are going to do later. Okay, so we share a bit the tentative for everybody. Can you guys see my sharing screen?
Not yet.
All right. Okay. So
Starting to share.
all right.
Okay.
So we already complete. I mean, we just in time. Okay. So for this morning session, we already covered the opening remarks from the representative from UTeM and also the PSU. And later we will brief about the tentative in short. Okay. Okay. So from 10:30 until 12:30, okay, talk about the writing for publication, scopus, was index journal, writing tips, template, sentences, example. Okay, so the speaker for the part number 1, writing abstract section, will be covered by the Associate Professor IRTS Dr. Muhammad Syukur bin Saleh. Okay, and later for the second part, also goes to the Associate Professor IRTS Dr. Muhammad Syukur bin Saleh for the writing method section in the journal. And then for the third section, I'm not sure whether this still remain the same, but I just mentioned the dedicated person in charge, writing result and conclusion, delivered by Professor Associate Professor Dr. Makata YAI. Okay, and then the last part, template for quick journal writing, will recover from the PSU, which is Associate Professor Matanan Kamano. Okay. If there are any changes, let us know. Then we will. There should be no problem. We do go for the replacement later. No problem. It will take almost 2 hours. Okay. It will take almost 2 hours. And then we have the break. Okay. Break 12:30 until 4 p.m. Sorry, until the 2 p.m. Okay. And then afterward, during the afternoon session, we will go for the introduction to grouping activities. Okay. And then we will divide a group. Okay. And then I think for the UTeM's participant, I mean a student, we already divided the group according to your faculty. Okay. According to your faculty members, so that it's easier for you to discuss related to the same project, more or less similar, right? And then afterward, today, I mean, from 2:30 until 4:30, we will break all that group by the dedicated mentor. Okay, if you can see this one, from the FKM, we have the mentor from Dr. Nadli Binti Razali. And then from the FKP, we have the Associate Professor TS Dr. Muhammad Hafiz Fazil bin Fuadi. And then for the FKE and the FKKK, maybe later they will join the session while we are already secure the name list for the representative as a mentor for that particular group, FKE and FKKK. Worst case, the FKKK will be the Associate Professor Dr. Ridwan Ahmad lah. Okay. Worst case lah. Okay. If not, then we will see who is the lucky person to mentor you guys for that session. In terms of the PSU, I mean, it depends on the numbers of students enter for this session. And then later we will try to segregate as well during the breakout session, who is the list of students, I mean, from the PSU, and also who is the mentor. Okay, so there should be no problem. Just let us know to arrange the particular details later. And then afterward, on Tuesday, morning, start 9:30 a.m. and 8:30 a.m. Thailand time. Okay, talk writing for publications, corpus or works index journal. Okay, so I've been mentioned by our first speaker, PMIRTS, Dr. Syukur bin Sadeh. He also will cover this yellow in color, highlighted this one during his speech for this morning. So meaning to say, Associate Professor Dr. Gad Chim Kim will cover part of the example cover letter for submission. Okay, and that one just covered for the 1 hour only for the Tuesday session. And later, from 10, yes. Okay, sorry. Again, and then 10:30 a.m. or 9:30 a.m. Thailand. Okay, and then group session. Also, continue your breakout session with your mentor. Okay, to produce the extended abstract should be written in English, including figure, tables, and references. Okay, and then 12:30 lunch break. Okay, until 2 p.m. And then tomorrow afternoon, we have the presentation for each group. You are given only 10 minutes, okay, to present your works or your extended abstract. And then they have a Q and answer session from the judges. Okay? And then we also give award for the first, third, and second place, okay, which is delivered by the MC. And then your judges for today, your judges for tomorrow session, I mean afternoon session, Prof. Rizal. Hopefully he managed and available for tomorrow afternoon. And also me, myself. Okay, and also me, myself. And during that session will be conducted or will be moderated by the Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Ridwan bin Ahmad. Okay. And then also we have two representatives as a judges from the PSU as well. Okay. And then last day, the last for the online session on the Wednesday. Okay, so we have the University Tower from Malaysia, delivered by the TS Dr. Suryati binti Akmal, the Deputy Dean Postgraduate Study UTeM. And then after 1.5 hour session, we end the session. And then for the end of the event. So far, that is the tentatively we have planned for you guys. So subject to change due to the certain things, but then we try to commit to follow all the schedule accordingly. So with that, I think that's from me for now. So I think we may proceed the session. I mean, afterward for the first speaker, Associate Professor Dr. I.R. Syukur bin Sadeh to prepare his slide or to deliver his speech. Please welcome PM Dr. Syukur.
Okay, Assalamualaikum and very good morning to all participants. Okay, can you hear my voice?
Yes, we can hear you. Yeah.
Okay,
Yes,
thank
we can hear
you,
you.
Professor Dr. Afzal Nizam. He is our moderator for our session this morning. First of all, I would like to thank Prof. Dr. Rizal, the Dean of the Center for Postgraduate Studies, University Technical Malaysia Melaka, and Prof. Supapan, Prof. Kulapat, Prof. Tenet from Prince SONGKLA University for giving me opportunity to share my experience on how to write journals articles. I also would like to thank students from UTeM and PSU for attending this session. Okay, let me share my slides. Okay. Can you see my slide?
Yes, we can see your slide, Prof.
Okay, thank you for your feedback, Prof. Okay, before I proceed, I just want to introduce myself. I am Associate Professor Dr. Shuko, Deputy Dean of Research and Postgraduate Studies, Faculty of Manufacturing Engineering, University Technical Malaysia, Melaka. Okay. Okay, this is a little bit on my background. Okay, maybe if you want to know me, you can go to my Google Scholar here. Basically, my field is I focus on semi-solid metal processing, materials processing, casting, and also CNC machining. Okay. Okay, I'm also appointed as a editors for Journals of Advanced Manufacturing Technology. This is the Scopus Journal, okay, Q3, Q3. Okay, so basically these journals focus on manufacturing mechanicals topics. Okay, so for this journal, we publish 3 times per year. So if possible, maybe you can submit your articles, okay, to these journals. Okay, maybe we also can have this what we call that mixed publication lah, between both institutions. So maybe after this, I will discuss with Prof. Aftanizam on how we can have this type of publications. Okay, this is the content of my presentation this morning. So the first one, I will show you what is the academic publication, what is the strategy to publish your work in Scopus or ISI index journal, and then we look at the criteria to publish. So of course, we need to have strategy and criteria in order to make sure that our papers is accepted, okay? And then of course, the structure of a typical journal. So we need to study, we need to understand the structures of journals before we submit. Okay, so now I look, maybe we can look at this academic publication. What type of journals that we can publish? Of course, there are 4 types of journals. The first one, we call that index journal. So basically, we refer to ISI and Scopus. This is our highest priority. Okay, and then the second one is open access journals, normally known as a DOAJ, right? So, and then after that, we also have other journals, for example, non-index journals, and of course, we also have conference proceedings, okay? So basically, this is type of journals that we would like to focus on. Okay, before we submit our paper, the first thing that we need to know is what is the scope of the journals, okay? And then we also need to identify whether this journal is indexed by ISI or Scopus. So this is very important because we want to ensure that we publish to the journal which have this type of index. Okay, and then after that we need to look at the impact factor. Okay, whether these journals are indexed by Scopus Q4, Q3, Q2, or Q1. All right. And then what is the format for these particular journals? And then what is the publication frequencies and also publication history? After this, I will show you how to get this information based on that particular journals. Okay, so maybe you will ask how to submit and where to submit our articles, right? So the best way is you go to this journal finder at cbo.com. You just enter your abstract, you enter your keywords, and this journal will suggest what is the appropriate journals that can be published based on your title, abstract, and keywords. Okay, you go to journal finder and .scbo.com. Okay, so this is the simplest way on how we know or on how we identify the journals that tailored with our work. All right. Okay, so I just show you a few journals, okay, that is possible to be published. Okay, the first one is Journal of Material Research and Technology. Okay, you go to this journal finder, then it will give you this information. Okay, so based on this, you can see the impact factor for each journals, acceptance rates, time to first decisions, and time to publish. Okay, you can see here. So based on these informations, you can actually plan, okay, where to submit your articles. Let's say if you want to submit to these, for example, to these journals, if a factor is 2.8, the acceptance rate is 8%, then you can plan your articles, right, according to the format, and so on and so forth. Okay, so I think this is very important to our student actually. Why? Because you need to plan. Okay, for our student, basically for master degree, you need to publish at least one Scopus journals, right? Before you can graduate, right? So this is basically the strategy that you need to implement in order to publish. Okay, and then the second one, you also can go to enhanced editing. Okay, so you just key in your abstract, your keywords, and this enhanced editing will suggest a type of journals that suitable for your articles. Okay. Okay, this is a few SCBA journals. Okay, normally I publish in these SCBA journals. Okay, quartile 1, Q1. Basically, I think I publish, I think 3 articles to this journal, Method Design, and then 3 articles to this Alert and Compounds, and then 1 articles to this Method Science Engineering. Based on my experience, it's quite not difficult to publish in this type of journal, because this is free format. You just submit your draft and then they will format, okay, all of the requirement, okay, for you. Okay, so I think SCB journals is a very friendly types journals, okay, that can assist you, okay, in order to publish in the high impact journals, right? So apart from that, we also have Hindawi's journals. For example, we have Mathematical Problem Engineering. This is Hindawi as a publisher. And we also have Advanced in Mechanical Engineering, all indexed by Scopus. Okay. Okay, and then we also have Taylor Francis journals. Okay, I think I published 1 articles, okay, to these journals. And then the accepted rate also very high. Okay, so I think this is one of the good journals if you want to try. And then Springer journals. Okay, this also quite interesting journals, right? So for those who have this type of, let's say if you have research in materials engineering, mechanical engineering, you can try to submit to these journals. Okay, now we move to another part. We call it general strategy. So in this section, I just want to reveal, I just want to show what is the general strategy that we can use in order to publish. Okay, so the first point is you need to identify journals that are relevant to your field or areas. This is the main things. And then the second one is make it a point to submit to the top journals first. It's what I already explained to you. First, you need to focus on the the top journals. Okay, the high ranking journals. Okay, for example, Q1, Q2. If they not accept your paper, maybe you can go to Q3 and Q4, right? So ensure your papers have the quality required. So how to know it? Of course, sometimes you need to do benchmarking process. What is the benchmarking process? Of course, let's say you want to submit to the particular journals. You need basically to understand the procedures, the quality of that particular journals. So what should you do? You need to download at least 5 papers from that particular journals, and then you need to read and analyze the papers. Okay, so by using this strategy, then you can know what is the quality of your paper as compared to that particular papers in the journals, right? So this is the strategy that you need to do. And then have an internationally renowned researchers or author as research collaborators. So in this case, basically, now Scopus basically focus on these different region authors. For example, let's say we are in Malaysia. If possible, we need to include other region, for example, like Indonesia, Thailand, Singapore, Australia, and so on. So why? Because it can give visibility to these articles, okay, to be read not only in a certain region, but also a few regions, right? And then never give up. Once you have got an acceptance, then it will be much easier for you to publish another articles. Okay, so this is basically the general strategy that you need to use. Okay, now we look at the rejected papers. Why papers are rejected? So basically, we must know why our papers rejected. What is the problem with the papers and how to solve it, right? So the first one, rejection before review. And the second one, we call it rejection after review. What does it mean by rejection before review? Of course, the papers does not fit to the scope of the journal. So that's why in our strategy, we need to look at the scope first, okay, before we decide to submit to that journals. Paper does not make a contribution to new knowledge in the discipline, right? So of course, this is also a very important point. Anything that you write, you must have a good contribution to the knowledge as well as in the discipline that you are in, right? And then paper does not meet established ethical standards. This is also very important. Why? Because ethical standards plays important role in order to make sure that the paper is duplicate or not, right? And then the paper is poorly written. The paper has not been prepared according to the journal's guideline for presentation. Okay, so basically, this is the point that we look at, okay, before we accept or reject your paper. Okay, next, rejection after review. Okay, so basically in this category, paper that describe poorly conducted study. So basically, when we analyze, when we assess your papers, normally we found that this is the one of the main criteria that we would like to reject because it's not fulfill the niche of our what we call that reviews. And then the research conducted was inadequate. The literature review is inadequate. The paper has methodological problem, which means that you not use a good methodology to produce the work. And then the data have been interpreted poorly or sometimes wrongly. Okay, you not basically focus on that particular good in terms of the methodology, but sometimes you also interpret wrongly. Okay, this is also one of the big issues. Okay, when we assess the papers, all right, and then the analysis is weak. The paper duplicates other work, and of course, it does not report on anything new. Okay, so this is the reason why we reject your papers, right? And then problem with writing or presentation. Normally, we found that the paper is poorly written. The outer guidelines have not been followed. The paper is over the journal's limit. Let's say for abstract, normally 100 to 200 words. Okay, this paper for abstract, maybe the words more than 200, sometimes 300, 400. Okay, so of course, this paper not fulfill the requirement of the journals. And then the paper has been carelessly prepared. Okay, how we know? Because there are a lot of grammatical error, okay, in that articles. Okay, now we move to the next part, criteria that editors, reviewers normally use. Okay, so we have 8 criteria that we use to assess for that particular articles. The first one is contribution to new knowledge. We will look at this one first. Okay, and then what is the innovative and originality of that papers? Of course. And number 3 is meet journal objective. You need to meet journal objective. And then clarity of writing. Okay, how you use the literatures, quality of your arguments, research methodology and data analysis. And last one, we look at the research implications. So this is the main criteria that we use to assess your paper, right? So I will go one by one. What does it mean by contribution to knowledge? So basically, we have a few elements here that we use to assess the articles. The first one, we look at the new findings. And of course, we look at the level of contributions. And we also look at the any and on in terms of the new technologies, Okay, and then what's the value and interest to academic or industry? What is the contribution to academics, knowledge, and industry? And then conceptual consistency, advancement of current expertise. Maybe in your paper, maybe you try to improve in terms of the current situation, okay, current technology and so on. And of course, stimulates further research. Okay, this is the criteria that we assess based on the first one, right? And then the second one is innovativeness and originality. Okay, I would like to see your paper have this type of elements. For example, novel research, okay, new ideas that you want to show to the reviewers, different in terms of the techniques, okay, what is your uniqueness, and of course, you must have a difference as compared to other articles. Okay, so maybe you want to ask, what is the novel? Okay, novel research. Novel basically is a new and not similar to something already known or used. So this is why we call it novel. Okay, and or sometimes we call it original or striking, especially in conception of style. Okay, this is basically definition of novel that we need to implement in your papers, right? Okay, and then next is meets general objective. Okay, I also already go through this what we call it criteria. Okay, so what is the main element here? Of course, we will assess based on your journal suitability, criteria specific to the journals, relevant to the journal readers, submission criteria, as well as interest or significance of the topic. Okay, so basically, I would like to see the significance of your study. What is significant? What is the main findings that you already have? Okay, so basically this is the criteria that we assess, right? And then clarity of writing. Okay, so basically this is the what we call that problem that we face as a reviewer, because sometimes we found that the structure is not well organized. Okay, and then of course sometimes difficult to follow. When you write the article for the first paragraph and then you just jump the same information to the third or fourth paragraph, which is not good in terms of the organization of that particular information, right? So this is a few elements that you need to follow. Okay, so of course every structure should be logical, and then arguments flow logically, and then try to avoid uncomplicated writing. Try to write straightforward. Let's say if you want to say about testing, mechanical testing, you just say about mechanical testing, right? So straightforward. Okay, easy to understood, clearly organized, of course easy to follow, right? So this is the element that we assess. And then in terms of literature review, okay, so of course every papers you need to include literature review in that papers, right? So of course when we assess that, basically in introduction session, we want to look at these theoreticals, what is the theoretical that you use, okay, and then adequacy of literature review, comprehensive and relevant review that reflect to your titles, reflect to your objective, and so on. And then you also need to show understanding of the context. And then reading covers the key literatures, covering theories in the mainstream journals. Okay, for example, if you want to publish in ISR journals or Scopus journal, basically we encourage you to include the mainstream journals, okay, which indexed by Scopus and WOS, right? And then use appropriate words or sentence in that particular areas. Okay, and then in terms of quality of argument, we also have a few elements here. Okay, the first one, we focus on the innovative arguments. So anything that you want to explain, you must have a supported in terms of the arguments, right? And then sound logic, credible and convincing. Okay, this is based on the previous research, right? So of course, based on that, then you can come up with a very credible and convincing in terms of the finding, in terms of how you defend your result and so on. Okay, and of course, you must use evidence to support your arguments. Without evidence, then we're not sure whether this is correct or not. If you include evidence, then we can know that based on your findings, there are certain evidence that support it. Okay, so of course, interesting and compelling. We also want to look at the logical flow, okay, for every section in the papers, and clarity of thought, logic, and arguments, right? Okay, and then research methodology and data analysis. Of course, this is the elements of what we assess. Of course, you need to well conceived, clearly stated objective, appropriate method, okay, and so on and so forth, right? Okay, and then research implication. Okay, basically, we want to assess based on what you obtain in your research, right? So, of course, we focus on practical implication. Okay, for example, let's say you produce a new part. So, this part basically used for what industry? So, you need to mention clearly in your findings, right? And then consideration of so what impact, finding of any relevance that can support your findings, and then you must have a reasonable conclusions and so on, right? Okay, so I think I already covered all of the criteria that we assess. Okay, when we got these articles, as a reviewer, we assess your papers based on this. Okay, based on this criteria and based on these elements. Okay. Okay, normally we have a few type referred journals. Okay, the first one, research papers, letters, supplemental articles, miniature articles, review articles, and research note. So for this session, I will focus on research papers. Okay. Okay, now we look at the original research article. What is the main things for research articles? Of course, the first one, the standard for disseminating completed research finding, normally 8 to 8 pages, 8 to 10 pages, 5 to 12 figures, 3 to 6 tables, 25 to 50 reference. This is the normal structures for research articles. Okay, so you need to draft and submit the paper to appropriate journals. And of course, this is a good way to build a scientific research career. So now we look at the journal selections. Okay, so the main thing, you must consult the journal homepage to learn. Okay, so the first information that you need to know, what is the aim and scope of the journals. Okay, so accepted type of articles, readership, what is the current topics, okay, that has been published by this journal, and then you need to go through to the abstract of recent publication. Why? Because you need to get information before you publish to these journals. Okay. Okay, this is an example of material design. That's what I already mentioned just now. I published my paper, I think 3 or 4 articles to these journals, materials and design. Okay, so basically, this is the information that I need to look at. For example, how to submit these papers. Okay, and then in terms of the open access, in terms of the guideline for authors and so on. Okay, so basically I will read all of this information, all of this guideline before I submit to these journals, right? Okay, same goes here. Okay, for alloy compounds. Okay, I think I published a few articles here. So of course, I also practice the same strategy. Okay. For example, I also need to know what is the requirement of these journals and so on and so forth. Okay. Okay, and then language editing service. This is also very important when we talk about language, right? So basically, we are when we complete the draft of that particular articles. Okay, so the best way is you need to have the proofread. You need to send your paper to proofread. Why? Because when you send your paper to proofread, let's say you have problem in terms of your grammar, so it can help you to what we call it. They will help you to correct, okay, your grammatical error and so on. Okay, so basically English is not of our mother tongue, right? So that's why we need to have other parties that can help us okay, in order to correct the sentence and so on, right? Okay, so of course, which is a suitable journal? Of course, we need to what we call that refer to the quality of the research output, and of course, you need to decide on type of journal paper, and of course, you need to read papers from that journal if you are not familiar with the journals. Okay, as I already explained to you, this is we call that benchmarking process. We need to benchmark our article with the papers that already published in that journals. Okay. Okay, so this is the what we call that test reject. So basically, if you want to submit, you must make sure that you can avoid test reject because we already prepared. Okay, this draft. It takes maybe 1 month, 2 months to complete all of these articles. So of course, we hope that once we submit, we can avoid this reject. Okay, so many papers rejected simply because they don't fulfill journal requirement. Basically, we found that if this paper not fulfill the general requirement, of course, we will reject it. Okay. So, of course, in order to avoid this type of problem, so of course, you need to identify a few possible target journals. Okay. And then follow the outer guidelines, find out where to send your papers. Okay. And you need to check outer guidelines, which can be found in a copy of the journals. Okay. And so on and so forth. So, I think I already explained these strategies before, so I hope maybe you can use it, okay, before you submit your articles. Okay, so how to prepare your manuscript? You need to write in clear and concise manner. Do not copy text straight from other articles. Okay, if you copy straight from other article, we call it plagiarism. Okay, so normally after you complete your articles, you need to use Turnitin. Okay, basically this software is used to check the similarity index. Okay, so basically for journals, okay, basically the similarity index is less than 15%. All right, and then prepare articles, figures, and table according to the journal's guideline. Okay, and so on. Okay, and then publishing ethics. Okay, every journals have their publishing ethics. You need to what we call that go through this publishing ethics. You must ensure that you follow exactly whatever information that already listed in the journals, right? And then highlights. Okay, some of the journals need to have this type of highlight. Okay, so basically highlight consists of 3 to 5 bullets that convey the core finding of the articles, maximum 85 characters, including space per bullet points. Okay, this one we call it highlight. But some journals not what we call that make it compulsory for the highlight. But some journals, yes, they need highlight. Okay, to what we call it to promote. Okay, the important things of your articles. Okay, this is example of highlight. Okay, this is based on my articles. Basically, the first one, I will explain on that particular materials, and then what is the next process to improve that materials, and then what is the process that can help in terms of reduce tendency to fractures and so on. So basically, this is the highlight that I used to publish in Q1 journals. Okay, for example, in materials and design. Okay, normally we also need to have this graphical abstract. Okay, so basically this is mandatory for journals. Okay, so what is graphical abstract? So of course this is a summarized the article that content in a concise or pictorial form. So basically graphical abstract is very important to understand the process, to understand the concept, to understand the methodology that you use to produce the research work, okay, particularly in your areas. Okay, so I think graphical abstract also important that you need to know. And then, okay, so now we move to the next part, okay, how to prepare a good manuscript. Okay, so I will cover from titles, how you prepare your titles until methodology. Okay, so now we look one by one. Okay, how to produce a good title. Okay, so this is the criteria to produce a good title. Your title should be simple, concise, expressive, and informative. Okay, so after this we will look at the title one by one. And of course, it should cover specific in describing the study, attractive, accurately reflect the investigation. Okay, and of course, you need to select the words in title carefully for clarity and accuracy. Okay, why? Because actually, based on the title, okay, the reader will actually know what you want to explain. What is the what we call it, the result of that particular investigation, right? So basically, in title, we need to avoid abbreviation and technical jargon if possible. Okay, so I will show you a few example of title. Okay, okay. So this is the tips. Okay, highlight the strength of your paper. So the first thing that you want to know, of course, you must have this capability to come up with a good in terms of the title that can emphasize strength that contribute to the articles, right? So for example, the first one, effect of hybrid processing, okay, on microstructural and mechanical properties of thermoform aluminum matrix composite. So in this title, I highlight the strength of my papers, right? For example, I want to study this effect of hybrid processing, okay? So after that, I want to look the result based on the microstructural and also mechanical properties. That's it, okay? Straightforward, right? Okay, and then the second one, microstructure and mechanical properties of thermoform A3Y9 aluminum alloy. So what is the strength of this title? Of course, microstructures, mechanical properties, and also process, okay, to produce aluminum alloys. Okay, and then same goes to the title number 3 here, effect of magnesium addition on microstructure and mechanical properties of thermoform aluminum silicon copper alloys. Okay, so what is the strength? Magnesium addition. So how to what we call that verify this magnesium addition can help to increase the mechanical properties. Of course, I need to look at the microstructures as well as testing mechanical properties, right? Okay, so next is the evaluation of the microstructure and dry sliding wear behavior. Okay, so this is the first one. Okay, basically my papers on microstructures, and then what is the what we call that position that I use to investigate. Of course, I want to use slide wear behavior investigation, right? And then the last one here, effect of mechanical stirring and short heat treatment. Okay, so basically, this is the strength of my paper, effect of mechanical stirring and short heat treatment to produce carbon nanotube aluminum alloys. Okay, so based on these few example of titles, okay, titles in my articles, you can see I already highlighted the strength of my my papers. Okay, so based on that, then readers will look at the titles and they also maybe can predict, okay, the information that I wrote in the papers, right? So this is the tips that you need to use. Okay, and then we go to the next one, authors and affiliation. For affiliation, of course, give the whole address when writing the affiliation of each author. So of course, in this section, of course, you need to provide email address, okay, and also you need to include your phone and fax number, okay. Okay, now we move to the next part. We call it abstract. Okay, for the abstract, we have this information. The first one, you need to have introduction, problem statement, methodology, results, and also conclusions. Okay, for introduction, you must explain the importance of your work. What is the difficulty of the area, and what is the impact that might have if successful, right? So the second part is the problem statement. So you need to clarify, you need to show, you need to explain what problem are you trying to solve, and also what is the scope of your work, okay? And then in terms of the methodology, you also need to explain how did you go about solving or making progress on the problem. Okay, so if you use simulation in order to provide a few what we call it results before you start experimental work, so you need to mention here, right? And then in terms of result, you need to show the findings. And in terms of the conclusion, okay, you need to come up with the implication of your findings. Okay. Okay, normally good abstract have this type of criteria. Your objective, normally we write 1 to 2 sentences, okay, to explain the objective of your articles. And then scope of the research of the study, 2 or 3 sentences. Describe the methodology used, basically 2 to 3 sentences. And then summarize most important results, 2 to 3 sentences. And then conclusions. And then you need also to include a practical implication as well as recommendation. Basically, we write 1 to 2 sentences. Okay, so this is the good abstract criteria that you can use. Okay, so now we move to this, I think, example. Okay, this is example, a good abstract. The first one, you need to introduce, okay, the process that you use. Okay, for example, in this case, okay, I introduce my process, we call it THAILAND forming process, and then study case. Okay, what is the problem that we face, okay, to produce this type of research, right? And then after that, we go to the methodology. What is the procedures? What is the what we call it process that we use, okay, to produce this research, for example. Okay, and then we also need to highlight our results, and last one, conclusions. Okay, so a good abstract should consist all of these elements in the abstract. Okay. Okay, so now we move to the keywords. Okay, basically keyword is used mainly for indexing. Okay, so keyword represent label of your manuscript. Okay, so in keywords, avoid words with a broad meaning. Okay, so as what I already explained to you, for keyword, we just give the words that can reflect to the to your articles. Okay, so basically in keywords, for example, normally we put around 6. 6 is the maximum. Okay, from 3 to 6 words. Okay, which highlight the subject matters. Okay, so basically keyword should reflect to the to your what we call it to your research. Okay, let's say if you want to produce 3 important main criteria in your papers, so of course you need to put 3 keywords. Okay, let's say if you want to explain more than that, so of course you need to add more than that, right, in terms of the keywords. Of course, it must get them right if you want our paper to be found in search, read, and cited. Okay, so I think this is a few example of my keywords. Okay, in this case, for the first one, I use aluminum alloy. The process is forming, heat treatment, and mechanical properties. Okay, you can see here, I just limit it to the 4 keywords. Okay, and then for the second articles, this one 5 keyword. The first one, I just want to highlight my processing. We call it semi-metal processing. What is the materials? Of course, in this case, I use metal material composite, aluminum alloy, and of course, what is the reinforcement materials? Of course, in this case, I use CNTs. Okay, and of course, after that, I want to increase the mechanical properties by introducing the heat treatment. So all together here is 5 keywords that reflect to my articles. Okay, same goes here. Okay, and the last one, right? So basically, it based on the points that you want to highlight, okay, in your articles. So that after that, you need to come up with the keywords that can reflect it. Okay, so I think this is the straightforward. Okay, based on my experience. Okay, when you include all of these things, of course, the reviewer will what we call it understand it, and of course, it goes for indexing process. Okay. Okay, now we move to the next one. We call it introduction. Okay, so of course, in this section, you should introduce the subject area. Okay, this one is a general one. All right, it should include background of the study. So of course, in this section, you need to bring the reader from what is commonly understood to the point of appreciating the question your research attempt to answer. Okay, so basically we call it background of the study. Okay, so the second part is literature review. So of course, in this section, you need to refer to the previous articles that can support your findings. Okay, so in this case, of course, you need to provide details, background knowledge of earlier work. Okay, or sometimes we call it research gap. Okay, what's different between your work and the previous work. Okay, and of course, it should cover the latest development in the field. You also need to provide an critical evaluation of methodologies used. Okay, you also need to introduce the ideas that led to the present work. Okay, so this is the elements of the literature review. Okay, so and then after that, you also need to have objective or scope. Okay, so normally this objective is right at the end of the section. Okay, so what is the rationale or strong reason that led you to do this research? So you need to explain, okay, why you come up with this research, what is the reason, okay, to come up with this research, and so on. And this section should explain the novelty of the work. So basically, as a reviewer, we will look at this novelty at the end of the first session. Okay, and then it should also discuss the objective and significance of the work. Okay, so basically this section will reflect the entire work of your articles. Right, so basically we want to look at this one, objective and the scope, as well as your research gap. Okay, so this is very important. Okay, so this is the flow of the introduction session. Okay, so basically you should introduce the topics, and then after that you need to relate the current knowledge. So after that you need to indicate the gap, okay, between your work and others, and introduce your work, and last one you need to state research question and objective. Okay, so it should include these three important point here. Okay, you need to clearly state the problem that being investigated. What is the problem that you want to investigate? Background that explains the problem and reason for conducting the research. Okay, so all together here can give you a good impact in terms of the introductions. Okay. Okay, normally the editors or reviewers like to see that you have provided a perspective consistent with nature of the journals. Okay, so of course you need to introduce the main scientific publication on which your work is based. Okay, so normally you need to cite a couple of original and important works, including recent reviews articles. Okay, so however, they also hate improper citation of too many reference irrelevant to the work. That's why you need to focus on what you done, right? So anything that you want to add or you want to cite, of course, it should reflect to the entire work of your articles. Okay. So now we look at the common weakness, okay, of introduction section. Okay, the first one, normally we found that there are unclear research question. Okay, and then ambiguous objective. The objective is not clear. Okay, so undefined hypothesis, and of course does not provide justification of the study. Okay, does not provide benefit of the study, and of course the scope is not adequately described. So basically we found these weaknesses in that particular section. Okay, so now I want to share what is the strategy to come up with a good, okay, introductions. Okay, so the first stage is we call that general statements about a field of research to provide the reader with a setting for the problem to be reported. Okay, this is we call it general statements, right? So for example here, general reference to previous research. Okay, for example, the X problem has been extensively studied. So after that, you can continue with your words. Okay, you need to start with the general statement. Okay, for example here, markers for the prediction of X have been widely investigated. So you need to continue with your own words. Okay, why? Because basically general statement will give a good impact to the readers. Okay. Okay, and then the second one, we call that the second stage. For the second stage, more specific statements about the aspect of the problem already studied by other researchers. Basically, for the second stage, we refer to the literature reviews, right? For example, number one, author as the subject. Okay, for example, you can use here, for example here, Jones initial 2001 compared the rate of success in producing good mechanical components. Okay, based on that particular investigation, okay, he suggests that blah blah blah. Okay, so you need to start with the authors as a subject, and then you continue with your own words. All right, because basically we want to diversify all of these what we call that sentence, okay, on how you use these what we call that introductions, okay, on how you introduce your work and so on. Okay, the first one is author as a subject. The second one, you also can use time frame reference. For example, you can start with time frame. For example, in 1959, a seminal article was published entitled blah blah blah, right? And after that, you continue with your words. Okay. So this is a few examples that I give to you. Okay. Basically, for the second one is more specific statement that can covers the time frame. Okay. From the time that you that the researchers, okay, did the same what we call that research, and until now we want to know the flow between the previous one and the latest one. Okay, so that's why we want to have this time frame reference. Okay, and then number three is research topic as subject. You also can use this technique. Okay, you start with the research topic, okay, before you continue with your own words or your own findings. Okay, for example, a recent study by Smith and Jones involved a few techniques to produce mechanical components. Okay, and after that you continue with your own words. Okay, so in 2013, maybe you can use your research articles, okay, to include in these topics. All right. Okay, and then the next one we call it research objective as subject. Okay, so of course you also can use research objective as a subject in this section. Okay, for example here, in an analysis of X, Smith initial 2012 found, okay, and after that you continue with your own words. Okay, this is the examples. Okay, you can use the example, okay, but you need to amend a little bit, okay, to make sure that it can what we call it tailored with your papers or research work. All right. Okay, this one I give a few examples that you can use it. All right. And then number 5, statement. Okay. So of course, in this case, you just use a statement. The roles of X have been studied extensively by Jones, Johnson, Smith, and so on. Okay. So this is also one of the what we call it famous technique that we use, okay, to produce our articles, right? Okay, and then in the second stage, we also have the critical review. Okay, critical review on the literature. Okay, so basically, if you want to use this critical review on the literature, you want to make sure that you understand all of the concept. Okay, because if you give a different in terms of the, for example, in terms of the ideas, in terms of the procedures, maybe it's not what we call it fulfill the criteria of the journals. So if you want to have the critical review on this stage, so you must make sure that you understand, okay, the whole concept of your research work, and also maybe based on your ideas, you can have in terms of the added value, in terms of the technologies, in terms of the procedures, and so on and so forth, right? But if you want to have this critical review, also welcome, okay? So basically for the critical review, you need to compare between the findings, okay, from the previous research, okay, and also you can compare, okay, the finding from the previous research and your research, okay. So based on that, then you can have a good in terms of the critical reviews, right? And then this, in the second stage, you also have what we call, you also need to highlight the similar findings, okay. For example, if you what we call it refer to the previous articles, you notice that there are a few articles that have the same findings, you also can use it in this section. Okay. Okay, this is a few examples, right? And then the third stage basically statement that indicate the need for more investigation. Okay, so basically for the third stage, we focus on the research gap or novelty of the study. Okay, for example here, maybe you can use this sentence. Okay, for example, you can use this word to date, surprisingly. Okay, and then you also can have this word, there is a current trend for these studies. Okay, there is a relatively what we call that procedures that we need to control and so on and so forth. So basically, you can use this statement that indicate the need for more investigation. Okay, and this is the what we call that the pattern that we use to produce the articles. Okay, based on the third stage, right? Okay, and then there's a few examples. Okay, you can use these words here. Okay, in your articles. And then this also another examples. Okay, maybe you can use this word. Okay, before you continue with your own words. Okay, and then this one statement that indicate the need for more investigation, particularly based on the what we call that objective, research gap and novelty. Okay, so for example here, in particular, no investigation has been made on the nanofluid stability inside solar collectors, for example. Okay, therefore the aim of this work is to analyze sedimentation, okay, inside fluid solar collectors and to test a suitable solution to prevent it. Okay, and then for this purpose, the stability of several nanofluids was investigated to select the most stable suspension. Okay, basically this is the pattern. Okay, the structures that we need to have. Okay, so the first one you need to investigate. Okay, the what we call it, the field that you think is important, and after that, what is the aim of it? Okay, and after that, you need to show the purpose of that particular research. Okay, so this is the what we call the strategy or the structures that can give a good impact. Okay, on the articles. Okay, this one is the statement that indicate the need for more investigation in terms of the literature reviews. Okay, so basically we also can have this type of structures. Okay, based on the literature review. For example, here on the basis of the comprehensive literature review, the anthropomic generation, the energy destruction, and the pressure drop analysis of solar collectors using nanofluid as an absorbing medium had rarely been reported. So the main objective is okay. All right. So after that, you need to continue with your words. Right. So basically, they have a lot of things that we can get. Okay, based on the published papers. Okay. So and then after that, okay, this is the fourth stage. Basically, for the fourth stage, we focus on aim and objective. Right. So for the fourth stage, of course, very specific statement giving the purpose or objective of the writer's study. Okay, so basically for this fourth stage, we focus on the objective. Okay, this is a few examples here. You can use it. The objective of the present work paper is to investigate. Okay, or maybe you can use this one. In this work, we propose a simulation which use. Okay, and then the objective of this study is to develop and so on and so forth, right? So basically, I include here a few examples that you can use, okay, for your objective, right? Okay, and then the fifth stage, of course, significance of the study. Okay, make sure that for your introduction, you must include your significance of the study. Okay, for example, here. To accomplish this aim and to respond to a recent call for research to increase the stability of these structures, there are a few guidelines that we need to follow. This is example, right? And then the finding of this study will help to increase the mechanical properties. Okay, and then the contribution of this study is obvious as the resulting outcome can be capitalized as guideline. So you can use this sentence, you can use this word, okay, to diversify your what we call it, your techniques, your writing techniques when you want to produce good articles. Okay, so I think I will share with you my slides. Okay, so you can use all of these example here, okay, to publish good journals articles. All right. Okay, so I think I already covered the first one in introduction. Okay, so now I move to the second one. We call it methodology, right? Methodology section. Okay, what does it mean by methodology? So in methodology, of course, you need to describe how the problem was studied. Okay, so you need to include detailed information so that knowledgeable readers can reproduce the experiment. Okay, so of course in the methodology section, you need also to what we call it previously include all of these published procedures. Okay, for example, you need to cite methods and note any changes to the procedures. You also need to provide details method in supplemental materials, identify equipment and material use. You also need to provide source and related product information. For example, companies, the properties of the materials and so on, right? So, and also you need to write out full chemical or biochemical compounds, okay? For example, in my case, okay, normally in aluminum alloys, we have chemical compositions. So I need to write the full chemical composition of the particular materials, okay? So also you need to have this one, make sure that all symbols are defined clearly, okay, so that when the readers read your article, they know what the symbol used for. Okay, reviewers will criticize incomplete or incorrect descriptions. Okay, so of course, if they found that, of course, they will recommend rejection. Okay, to your paper. Okay, so in terms of how to write it, of course, you should write it using past tense. It may include tables and figures. Of course, it's good. It can, if you can have these flow charts, diagram of apparatus. For example, let's say if you want to produce the materials, so of course they must have the apparatus or equipment that can use to produce it. Okay, tables of experimental condition. Okay, for example, if you use DOE, design of experiment, you can also include your design experiment in this methodology section. Okay, and how will you demonstrate your experiment design or methodological approach? Of course, by thoroughly and accurately investigate the what we call it, the procedures, okay, and then the flow of the process and so on. And of course, it must be valid and relevant to your research. Okay. Okay, so in this section, you also need to document all methods performed in your study. Okay, and also you need to summarize in your own words what you did. Okay, for example, when you want to produce new materials for automotive application, so of course the first thing that you need to summarize. Okay, what is the process that you use to produce it? Okay, and then you need to describe in detail how the result were obtained, so that peer can repeat procedures, which means you need to reveal everything that you use to produce that particular parts or research, right? And of course, it should be reproducible. And for industrial product, avoid trade names unless the nature of the product differ from one to another companies. Okay, and of course, you need to use scientific nomenclature, right? Okay, so and then methodology needs to be described in details. Okay, so remember that this section should describe the method only. Okay, so of course it should not present the result. Okay, so normally you should focus on the method. Okay, not the result. Okay, I think 2 weeks ago I got this what we call it, one articles. Okay, they asked me to review that article. I found that these authors, they combine methodology with the result, which is not correct, right? So of course, I give what we call it major reviews, okay, for these articles. The article is very good, okay, but I think these authors not read the what we call it the requirement for that particular journals, right? So of course, for methodology, you need to avoid, okay, any present results. Okay, you just focus on the method that you use to produce that research, right? And then statistical analysis must be pertinent and thorough enough to ensure the accuracy of the conclusion. And of course, degree of freedom, level of certainty should be reported in order to facilitate evaluation of conclusions. Okay. Okay, so I think I covers until methodology. Okay. So if you have any question, maybe you can ask. I've been given 1 hour until 11:30. Okay, I think I want to stop here. So any question you want to ask?
Okay, guys, if you guys have any question to the Associate Professor IR, Dr. Muhammad Syukur, then you can ask a question.
I have a question here. For the language editing service, can we use like the Coolbook software to improve our grammar of writing?
Okay, so for the English editing service, I think yes, you can use the software. Okay, but in my opinion, if you want to publish, especially in the high quartile journals, for example, ISI Q1, Q2, right? So it's better if you can have this proofreader. You submit your paper to the proofreader, okay, so that maybe they can help you to refine the structures of your articles. Okay, so for my experience, okay, for this ISIQ1, I publish I think more than 8 articles. Okay, normally I use what we call that expert, what we call that US expert proofreaders. Okay, to proofread my articles, because I noticed there are a lot of what we call that improvement, okay, in my sentence. They refine my sentence, okay, and also they, what we call that, they suggest new words that can what we call it, increase the quality of the articles. This is my opinion.
What is the range of proofreader that we need to pay for us to just to understand the range of rates?
Okay, normally if you use American expert, okay, for example, maybe around 800 to 1,000 ringgit. Okay, for example, before this, I submit a few articles. They charge me around 800 ringgit. Okay, but you also can use our, what we call it, proofreader service. Okay, they have a lot of proofreader service in our country. Okay, so I think maybe the cost is around 400 to 500. Okay. Okay, so I hope I answer your question.
Means the local one, is it the UTeM lecturer or in?
Oh, okay. So I mean, basically they have a few proofreader service. Okay, they provide this service. I think they, what we call it, maybe after this I will share you. Okay, with the context. Okay, I have a few contact for the proofreader based in our country. Okay, so maybe I will share after this.
Okay, thank you. I hope that we can have the slides later as well. Thank you.
All right. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, PM Syukur, and also the participant asking the question. So I think later, I think on behalf of the student, I will get all the slide and also the contact list contact of the proofreader, so that we can share to all students, especially for this program and also for the postgraduate student, specifically for UTeM itself. There should be no problem, PM Syukur.
Okay, no problem.
All right, thank you very much. So we move to the next presenter. First thing first, let me share the itinerary first. Okay. So next we will cover writing result and conclusion, which will be delivered Associate Professor Dr. Makatar YAI. Is it? Prof, are you around, Prof?
Yes, I am.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay. So with no further any delay, so the screen is yours.
Okay, thank you.
You can share your
Share
yeah,
my
sure. Share your slide and everything.
Oh, ma'am. Okay.
Okay, can you see this my presentation?
Yes, we can see your slide clearly. Just to enlarge the slides, Prof. All right.
Is it okay?
Yeah, better.
Okay. Yeah, I am Makatat, where actually Muslim name is Mukhtar. Okay, Mukhtar Wan Haji. So in Thai, it's quite difficult to write Wan Haji. It to be like a Where Haji. Okay. So I am teaching in Department of Mechanical Engineering. Mechanical and Mechatronics Engineering. Because before this, we are in only mechanical engineering. Now we change to be like a Mechanical and Mechatronics Engineering, Faculty of Engineering of SONGKLA University. So today, like this, my turn to speak like how to write result and discussion, right? No. So, like how to write result and conclusion. So in the beginning, I will talk about result and discussion. Actually, for this presentation, I just prepare. I think that all this is master and PhD student. So it is very simple thing for preparing your manuscript for publishing. So, but for like a professor, I think that they have many published papers. So it is like a simple one for that. Yeah. So what is the function of result and discussion? So first we have to report what we have found in our research, right? And then if we can compare our data with other published work, so it is better for in terms of discussion. So and then for my suggestion is do not ignore work like in disagreement with us. So I think this case I have like an example for you for how we get like a result this in contrast in our way. So how can we write on that? And then do not propose new term beyond the introduction. For result and discussion, normally we have to prepare like a figure of result. So I think you have heard like a picture is word, 1,000 words. So we have to prepare like a figure more than before writing, meaning like that. So first we have to consider like a figure. We should like present our result in figure or table like that, and then how to we decide our presenting in our data like a table or figure, and then we should in term of table we have to like only comparing the exact the number for that. So we should not like input long table like making boring for reading like that. But if we think that like our data is very like important, we can make it like to be supplementary material. So some channel they accept for us to attach like supplementary material like that. So in in terms of figure, right? So we have many type of plotting. So you have to select your like the plotting of your result. Like for example, like X Y plot, right? Histogram, the plot place, another surface plot, like a 3D surface plot like that, or histogram 2D or 3D like that. We have to like select appropriate one we need to show like that. For in terms of result and discussion, like a table and plot. In case of table, we have to show like an exact number. And for the number one by one is not like a connect with each other. For example, we in this figure, right? In this table, we show the exact solution of our result. But one by one is not like connect each other. We just like to show and compare with standard one, something like that. So in case of this, we can show our result in terms of like a table. But in the case of like a plot, we need to compare the trend of the result. Like for one case compared to the second case of the trend of result, we have to show in terms of plot. Yes. So like I give you like some tips for preparing the result, like in figure, right? So you have to make everything is clear, like for example, primary axis have to be clear for reading. Primary axis normally primary axis we make it in like in the side in the left side of our figure. But for secondary, here is not correct, secondary, okay? Secondary axis, we should place it in the right of our plot, okay? So we have to like make sure that we state the lower scale, and also if we can put it in upper scale, it's better to do it. And then also the line, you have to make also different line. And in case of our result, there are many group, right? We have to we have to make like a grouping the result. For example, like this to be one color, and this is one color but different line. For this, like a bad example, right? For letter that you state in your like your figure, it should be large enough for reading this. For my suggestion, when you prepare your result, right? You have one plot, right? So the text or the letter that you have to write in your plot, it should be the same range with the front front size of the main text. So for my suggestion, you prepare your figure, right? So when you have like a text that you have to state in the figure, when you have done your figure, you have to like paste on the word, and then to observe like the letter in the figure, the size is similar to the size of main text. That is enough for them. And also you have to like prepare your figure to make it clearly. For this example, left side is high solution, right? It is readable. But for right side, it is very low resolution. So it is unclear. So it is like a bad example. You should not prepare your figure like this. And if so like someone working on flow like in channel, so we like to show our result like this, right? But you have to I have suggestion that if we prepare our result like this, it's just like a contour of result, so that reader can know that some place is velocity is high, some place is velocity is low, but they do not know like the direction of the flow. So sometimes we have to also prepare the streamline of flow. So in case of streamline, we can like explain how the flow is have like a vortex or not, something like that. So this is tips for preparing your result. And also like we have to consider like the figure black and white and all color, because sometimes the journal when we prepare our figure in like in color, right? But for the journal they print out with hard copy, they have to change it to be like a grayscale like this. So in terms of grayscale, you see compare between this figure, right? In case of like a low velocity like this, we can see in the color figure, right? But for it, in terms of black and white, we could not identify which one is high color or low color. Which one high velocity or low velocity. So for this, if we can prepare in grayscale, it is good for us. But some channel they ask you for need to chart for color for color figure, and this is some tips for helping reader for understand easily. So when you have like two, we call double axis, right? Primary axis should stay in left side of figure, and right side it is for secondary axis. So you have to add arrow like this for like helping reader. If this line we have to read this scale, if this line we have to read this scale. And also if you can add like additional line for explaining something, some gap like this, so it is better to help reader to understand it. So in case of line like this, we could not make it in plot software, right? For example, we use Excel, right? So in terms of make line like this, get line like this, it is difficult to make it in Excel. So we just copy and paste in our in PowerPoint like that, and then we can get line like this. And also if we have like there are many parameters of our experiment. So actually we have to state, right, our model, experimental model in our in method, right? But in result in our figure, we also can add again like this, like a 2D like this. This is for helping like a reader to understand easily, so they can see like what the parameter that state in this and see in this, they can understand easily. No need to go back to read the model again. Okay, for this is like some tip for publishing in high journal, right? So for publishing in high impact journal, first you have to like put your result for benchmarking with other work or other work in previous work. For this, for what, for like to announce that okay, our experiment is is the same range with previous experiment. So if you trust, if you believe the result of previous one, you also have to believe our experiment because our result is the same. For this, it is very important for putting this in your manuscript. And also you have to like adding error bar like this. For my suggestion, it should not exceed than 5%. So you have to like to check your instrument. There are like error, how many percent for that. And also if you can add like benchmarking line or standard line, something like this, so you can also like make your discussion is more better. Like if you add like this is acceptable range that you have found. So our result is in case of higher than this is okay, or lower than this is okay. And also if in case of there are many data like this, you can also the standard range, acceptable range like this. So when reader read see your result, so they can see here in this like in standard one. So it is upper or lower like that. And also if you can develop like empirical correlation, it is you can publish in high impact journal. Yes. First, you have to put your empirical correlation, right? And second, you have to plot your empirical correlation with your experiment data, right? And then you have to like to compare the empirical correlation with the experiment data. How is error of that? For my suggestion, it should be like this. It is not like a larger than 10%, plus or minus like this. If larger than this, you have to make your correlation again. Yes. For this also my example of my research that some we have put empirical correlation, and then we have to show the like the comparison of correlation and the experiment things. It should not larger than 10%. Okay, here is like for one example of my work like that I mentioned before. Like this is our work, the trend of our work, right? But when we compare with other work, like in previous one, so the result around this is quite contrast, quite different with our result. So we have to like explain why it is different with us. So you see like one of my you see here, however discrepancy is reasonable and attributable to the limitation of the instrument used and the correlation detection tool used in the work conducted 55 years ago. Like we try to like blame previous work. There is no tool, there is no like good instrument, but here is now 56 ago, 56 years ago. So we have better instrument. So we can also explain about this. And finally, we have to confirm this is like a new finding, novel finding of our work. Okay, come to second, it is conclusion. Right? So someone think that abstract is equal to conclusion. Yeah, actually it's not equal. Okay, so you can see from this, for abstract, you have to write what in the abstract. First, the purpose of your research, right, and method and parameter and the result. But for the conclusion, we can put short for method, like a method. You just mention this work is experiment or CFD simulation, something like that. This is enough for conclusion. And parameter also you can mention in the range, not one by one like that. And then you can put like a new finding one by one. Yes. But for the same conclusion and abstract, you have to put like a new finding, right? But from new finding one by one from conclusion, you have to make one to be highlight of new finding. This you can put in your abstract like that. Okay, for the abstract, we a reader can understand easily before reading the context. But for the conclusion, reader can understand easily after reading. Okay, after reading the content. Meaning, if reader not read our paper yet, but they try to understand with the conclusion, it is difficult to understand. They have to read all the result. But for the abstract, we have to write how reader can understand it easily like that from our result. So the function of the abstract is to convince reader to read our paper. Okay, because sometimes they just search paper, right? They just get only the abstract. So when they read the abstract, we have to convince them okay, please read my work like that. But the function of the conclusion is to make reader more understand after reading the our paper. Okay, this is for preparing your conclusion. So first you prepare one or two sentence, explain again for problem or experiment like that. And next you just write the main finding of previous work can be summarized as follows, and one by one you can put it in your main finding. So this is for example of conclusion. For my you see in case of A, it is very boring to read, right? But for in case of B, for my suggestion, you better you write in case of B like this, first one or two sentence, you can write short method and short parameter for that, and then new finding one by one like this. Okay, this is I think my it is my time for speaking. So
Sad but true, bro.
if you are a master or PhD student, if you have rejected paper, I think that you will feel upset, feel not good like that, right? But if you become like a doctor, professor, you have experience to get rejected paper, so you feel it is okay, it's free. So okay, it is my final for presentation. Thank you for attention.
Thank you, Associate Professor Dr. Pakata YAI, for your very insightful sharing regarding the writing result and conclusion. Thank you, Prof. All right. I think now we have a 39 participant. I think I'm give the option for the last presenter, but then later we will take the photo all together again, because now we are having higher participant, 39 participant. So with no further any delay, so please welcome next presenter, Associate Prof. Matanan Kang Kamano, with the title of presentation, A Template for Quick Journal Writing.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, okay. So my voice is clear, right? Is it clear?
Yes, I can hear you. All right. Okay.
Okay, good. Can you see my slide though?
Yes, Prof. Just enlarge your slide. Yeah. All right. So you are given 30 minutes only, Prof. So try to
Yeah,
manage your time accordingly,
I'll
and
try
then
my
we go
best.
to the break.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
I need
now on.
break too.
Yeah. So now on, the floor is yours. Right.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay, so now it's my turn. Good morning, everyone. My name is Matana Kankamano, and I'm a lecturer from the Department of Mining and Materials Engineering, Faculty of Engineering, Prince of Songkla University. So today, my topic is about journal templates. All right, so till we start. Oh, it's not moving. All right, it's coming. Okay. In the morning session, you all has learned how to prepare a good manuscript, right? So now let's imagine that you have manuscript ready for submission. What is the next step? The next step is you wish to submit your manuscript into the journal that you want, right? For example, let's say this one, okay? You want to submit to my biomedical materials? So what is next? Can you go directly to this? Yeah, maybe you can if your manuscript is on the right format already. But if it's not, you need to go for this one. In fact, before submission your manuscript to the journal that you wish to, you need to read through the author guidelines first to prepare your manuscript into the right format for that journal. All right. So that is how it works. So let's have a look on this journal. Once you click on the journal homepage, we'll link you to this, something like this, all right? What you have to look for is this one, author guidelines, where you can find the journal templates here, okay? And the instruction for you to prepare your manuscript to be ready for the submission, right? For example, this journal, I have a look, I visit the homepage of the journal by clicking on this. So now it will link to this page, something like this. Searching for author guidelines, which is here. Wait a little bit. All right, here we go. And it will link you to this. You have to read through this from the top to below. Okay, you scroll down, read until you got this article format and templates. Okay. However, some journals, they don't provide the exact template for you, but some journals, they do, okay? You need to find out by yourself. For example, this one, they provide you the template of the journal, okay? However, they said you can format your paper in your own way. What does it mean? It means you don't need to follow their format. But if you want to, you wish to, they also provide you a template. Okay, so it said if you would prefer to work from a template, we do provide you. Okay, so they provide you both style. One is latex another one is Word. It depends on your manuscript. If you're preparing manuscript using Word, you can click on this one, Word template. Once you click on that, you will get the template for this journal. Okay. I think I have clicked on it. Yes. So it will link you to something like this. So this is how the template look like for this journal. Okay. You will got to put your article here with this font style, font size, name, abstract, keywords, and some the manuscript body. Okay, let's have a look on the abstract. For this journal, the specific that the abstract should not more than 300 words. Okay, so you have to read through this as well. Careful of what they want. Okay, and also in the body of your manuscript, you got to do the divide the section of your manuscript using number, like what they show you here. Example, number 1 is introduction, number 2 experimental, number 3 results, and so on, something like that. So this format also show you how to write the references. Some example they give you here, something like this. Okay, not only that, you have to read through the rest of the guidelines. Okay, so now we reach this one, article formats. What else we have to know in this journal? Got to see here, article length, article structure. Article structure mean you got to provide them the title, author, keywords, abstract, introduction, method, result, discussion, conclusion, and acknowledgements. But you have to read, okay, what they want. Also references, what the style of they want. For this one, I think they have 2 styles. So it depends on you to choose what style. Here, there are 2 main systems for references. One is Vancouver, and another one is Harvard. So you can choose which one. Okay. So how to prepare your figures as well. Here, what the size of the image, what the type of file that they accept. So you have to read through this. This is just an example of this journal. Okay, so let's have a look on example of paper that published in this journal. Once you put everything into the right format that they inform you, you will get something like this. Okay, biomedical materials, titles, keywords, abstracts, and introduction, materials and method, and followed by results and discussion for this paper, for this journal, okay? And then end up with the conclusion as usual. However, there's some templates that don't follow this. Okay, let's have a look. This is one more example. For example, this journal is inorganics. Okay, inorganics, you can, when you visit on this homepage, again, looking for instruction for authors. For this one, you will read through it. After you click instruction for author, you will find out with something like this. It said, for this journal, you have no choice. You must use their template. Okay, you cannot create your own template or format. So you have to follow them. This one, use the templates, either Microsoft Word or LaTeX to prepare your manuscript before submission. So let's have a look on this inorganic journal. And you will find out with something a lot like this, but it's very important to you to read through it. Okay, so like this one, use their own template that they provided for you to prepare the manuscript. Let's have a look on this. If your manuscript is prepared by Word, so click on this Word template. Have a look. Here you go. So the templates for inorganic is something like this. Okay. Got to put the title, the name of authors, abstract, keywords. Okay. For this organic, is that the abstract no more than 200 words. So you have to follow this as well. Okay. And the keywords, and also you start with introduction in the body. Okay. Number 8 to number 1 and followed by results. See, this one, the format is different. Introduction and followed by results. After that, discussion. Number 3. And materials and method is number 4. Okay. After that, you end up with the conclusions. However, if you have some patterns that resulting from this work, you can also put it in. Okay. Something like this. Also references. The formats of references is provided for you here. This is some example how to reference it, your work. Okay. So this is another one for inorganic. Let's have a look some example of this journal. Title, authors, affiliations, abstract, keywords. Number 1 is introduction and followed by what? Results, right? And discussion, number 3. So in this journal, results and discussion is separated. So if you wish to publish your paper into this journal, you need to separate between results and discussion, okay, according to their formats. Also, number 4 is materials and method. And then you can sum up your experimental on number 5, which is the conclusion and the references. Okay, this is one more example with different formats. Okay, what about another one? I'm checking the time. All right. This one more journal. Okay, this journal is published in this one is for Elsevier publisher. Okay, Journal of Material Science and Technology. This one actually that has no the exact format for Elsevier or YAI. That has no the exact format, but they has the instruction for you to follow. Okay, like this one, again, article structure they want is something like this. You need to divide your article or your heading using number. Number 1, introduction, materials and method, result, discussion, and conclusion, and references, the same. However, this journal, for Journal of Material Science and Technology, they mention about highlights and graphical abstract as well. But it's on optional. It depends on you whether you want to submit these two or not. They said it's on optional. However, it's highly encouraged you to submit both to this journal. So let's have a look on this one. I'll make it quick, okay? I know you are hungry, maybe starving. All right, so you will get something like this, okay? So let's scroll down. This is what you have to read through it, okay? Let's have a look on the manuscript. This is your manuscript that you have to prepare according to this. They use A4 paper, okay? You need to make it in the format of A4 with double space. All right, something like this, you read through by yourself. I know you can do it. Okay, and article structure is something like this, like I talked earlier. The highlights are optional yet highly encouraged. Okay, and graphical abstract as well. Also, they provide you some example of graphical abstract and example of highlights. Okay, you can read and have a look if you are interested to publish in elsewhere. Okay, something like this. Back to my example of this. This is an example of the journal, the paper that published in this journal. Okay, so introduction, experimental results, and discussion, and end up with conclusion. Okay, so that's it. Actually, I have one more, but I think this is YAI. YAI is similar to elsewhere. There is no the exact template, but they have some instruction like elsewhere for you to follow. So you can click on this and see. So let's see some example. Okay, so this is Journal of the American Ceramic Society with title here, abstract introduction. This is just follow the normal style. Experimental result and discussion together. Okay. If they has no fixed format, it's free for you to use like a results and discussion together, or you want to separate, it depends on you because it's no fixed format. Okay? You design yourself, but you just have to follow their details like a font size, page size, or something like that. You have to read through the author guidelines. Okay, that's it. I think enough. Okay, so to sum up, to submit your paper, your manuscript, you need to prepare it to be ready for submission into the journal that you wish to by reading the author guidelines and have a look on journal templates. Okay, and that's it. Thank you very much for today.
Thank you very much, Associate Professor Matana, for the insightful sharing regarding the quick tips template for the preparation for a journal submission. So since we have another maybe 10 minutes to go, so I open to the students on the floor or others to raise any question if any relevant with the topics. Dedicatedly to the Associate Prof Matana.
Or maybe hungry, starving. Lunch break, please, maybe.
Or others who want to ask also Associate Prof Makatar as well, no problem. Okay, so then the student already can differentiate easily what is the abstract and the conclusion.
Yeah.
Before I forget, later I think I will request from the Associate Professor Makata and also Associate Professor Matana to share the slide. Is that possible, Prof?
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
To
okay.
share my slide again, right? Okay.
All right, sure.
Okay, like this.
How to share? You mean?
Okay, yeah, I will jot down my email so that you
right.
guys can email to me later.
Okay. Actually, like this, the presentation I have shared to my team. So our staff, PSU staff, we will send you. Yeah.
Okay. I will send you Dr. Muhammad.
How to pronounce it?
Yeah. Yes. Let me capture
sure.
your email. Okay. So
Actually,
I would like to have your presentation also.
Yeah, sure. I will send on behalf from the Associate Professor Dr. Shuko presentation slide to you guys. I think all with the picture as well.
Thank you.
All right.
I did send to Prof. Neta the snapshots of the session that we have
Yes,
this
yes.
morning, Prof.
Sure.
Yeah.
So if there's not any question, so I think maybe Prof. Pratana can unshare the slide and we take the photo all together because currently we are having about
44.
44 participants, which is I think more than the morning session. I mean the early morning session. Okay, you can stop sharing your slide and then we can take a picture again to wrap up for the afternoon, the morning session for the day one online session.
Razak, yeah, I think you can unshare the slide, Prof.
Okay. Hold on.
All right.
Okay, so first thing first, please align your camera, video, and then secondly,
Yeah.
open your video, of course. Right.
One more.
One more with the more crowd. Okay. But this time, this picture before lunch. Oh, Christina pakai tudung macam tu je. Okay, boleh. Okay, those who have the camera, please turn on your video for a while. I mean, your camera for a while. For the picture session. Okay. Now I already don't know which one is the lecturer, who is the student now. But there should be no problem, right? Okay. Okay. So I think we shall start because the first frame is quite good. All of you seems like available on the video on the screen. So counting on three, okay. 1, 2, hold on. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, this is the first picture. Right. Hold on. Muka lapar, starving face.
They are starving right now.
Okay, so second shot. Okay, hold on. So, okay, counting on 3. 1, 2, 3. Right. Hold on. Okay. Okay, freestyle session. Wow, betul-betul freestyle. Okay, counting 3. 1,
Oh.
3. Okay, freestyle number 2.
How many times?
Another last one. Okay. Okay, final freestyle. 1, 2, 3. All right. Thank you very much, everybody,
Thank
for
you
your
so much
participation
to
for this morning
everyone.
session.
Thank you.
So I think if Professor want to say something regarding the session.
Yeah, thank you so much to all speakers this morning, especially from UTeM, Associate Professor Dr. Shuko, and then we have Prof. Makata and Prof. Matan as well, and also Prof. Nata and Prof. Kulapat. Thank you so much for being together with us from the morning until afternoon. Okay. Well, I hope this is going to be the, a lesson to be learned by our students. Okay, both from PSU and also UTeM to publish a good papers in the future. So thank you again to everyone. Okay, have a good rest, and we will continue again in the afternoon. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.